Hollywood movie, the live-action Dragon Ball, the script had too little of a grasp on the world and its characteristics. And on top of that, it had a conventional content that I couldn't find interesting, so I cautioned them and suggested changes. But in spite of that, they seemed to have a strange confidence and didn't really listen to me. What came out in the end was a movie I couldn't really call a Dragon Ball that lived up to my expectations. Akira Toriyama. Never were there more haunting words ever spoken. Let's face it, Dragon Ball Evolution is a dead horse. It is a dead horse because it is a legitimately bad movie. Everyone was outright apathetic or hateful towards it the moment it was revealed. I'll have no revisionism in regards to Dragon Ball Evolution on this channel. That reception and hatred was mostly justified. This was the first movie I instinctively knew would be bad from the trailer alone. My aunt asked me if I wanted to go see it. I saw Piccolo in the trailer, and my only reaction was, nope. We, no joke here, went to see the Hannah Montana movie instead. By the way, Dragon Ball Evolution competed at the theaters with the Hannah Montana movie and Fast and the Furious, if you don't remember. I am proud to admit that we saw Hannah Montana instead. And in fact, I only actually watched Evolution for the first time last year. Do not take my word for it though. Take the contemporary sagely wisdom of Iron Man off the now defunct animemedia.com. Fuck this crap, you round Dragon Ball, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. It's about fighting, comedy, and food, but making fun of stuff like teas is just pathetic. So, Evolution was poorly received, but counterfactual here. What if it got a sequel? Absurd? Why would it even get a sequel? The funny thing is that awful idea almost came to fruition. A world where Dragon Ball Evolution 2009 and Speed Racer 2008 were not forgotten cinematic slip-ups with no cultural impact, but the vanguard to something bigger. A world where the 2010s and 2020s saw a string of live-action anime adaptations instead of the MCU dominating theaters. A tidal wave. I envision Michael Cera as Naruto. 20th Century Fox was actually convinced Evolution would be enough of a success that most of the actors' contracts actually included a clause agreeing to a second and third film. Justin Chatwin, Amy Rossum, Jamie Chung. Maybe that's common procedure for business in Hollywood, but I always found it interesting. James Marsters, Piccolo, even threw out the claim that there had in fact been preliminary talks about a possible 7 entire movies for the franchise. Yes, 6 sequels on or slightly above the quality level of Evolution. Justin Chatwin, Goku, even indicated that a possible script for the second movie did exist, but it's basically locked away and will never see the light of day now. He must have seen it though because he described the material as more into the whole legacy of Dragon Ball, and it goes more in depth into a real Dragon Ball series, the kind of intergalactic world of Dragon Ball. That must mean, oh no. Some skepticism, though, must be expressed towards Chatwin's description of the proposed sequel as really, really cool then, because, in my eyes, Evolution was not really, really cool. Evolution is one of the few movies I would call, fundamentally bad. It is really outright boring, too. Frankly, I think a live-action Dragon Ball movie should not exist at all. No animosity towards the writers or actors or directors who made Evolution, but it is a fundamentally bad movie. But I do not want to write a live-action Dragon Ball movie. No one else should write one, and I hope a live-action Dragon Ball movie will never exist again, and all possible proposals for one are eternally cursed. So what if Evolution got a sequel? Let's wildly speculate off a few sparse statements and theoreticals. This is a Hollywood sequel, though. F. Dis writes, the shittiest part of the whole deal is that bunches of idiots will still go and see it, causing it to do really well. This will cause a bunch of sequels to be spawned as a result, even though the movie deserves to burn in hell, and people who wrote it as well as sponsored this other crap deserve to go bankrupt. Well, F. Dis, this did not happen. But, to build the case that it could have happened, was Dragon Ball Evolution a failure? Functionally, yes. Technically, a hesitant no. Evolution made a claimed $56.5 million at the box office on a $30 million budget. The movie's original budget was claimed as $100 million prior to release, but later on, it leaked the movie's budget was slashed down to $30 million. Evolution then did not technically bomb at the box office with a theoretical $20 million profit. Theoretical profit is the important thing to note here. This very soft success was likely torn apart once Hollywood accounting took its pound of flesh. For movies released in 2009, Evolution made peanuts compared to Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen's estimated $627 million profit at the box office. Still, well remembered as the Hollywood studio chop job of Dragon Ball it actually was, Evolution only made around $9.3 million in the USA, estimated at around 14% of its total gross profit. Evolution's global profit spread is sort of fascinating actually. Japan 8.4 million, Spain 2.9 million, Italy 2.6 million, France 2.5 million, China 7.9 million, and, of course, Mexico, where a majority of the movie was filmed, 2.4 million. Outside China, which could be put up to pure population statistics, these numbers tell an earnest interest in the movie across the globe. Maybe a more earnest interest even outside the United States. Any cancelled sequels to Evolution then were basically a mercy killing. It was for the best. One of the more incisive anecdotes about the movie is from James Marsters. When the cast and crew screened it in Japan, at the end, there was basically no reception from the audience in Japan. It was at that point Marsters essentially knew the movie was pretty much fucked.
Like Dragon Ball? Didn't you use a different name?
You're going to get me in trouble. Yeah.
Will I?
Yeah.
Why does that get you in trouble?
Well, because I changed my name. I just didn't want any credit on Dragon Ball because I wanted it just to be known to people at conventions, to like real Dragon Ball super fans that I meet at conventions, because I was getting, people were coming up in my line going, what happened with that film? I was in this really not a good live action Dragon Ball movie called Dragon Ball Evolution. And
it wasn't good.
Oh boy, was it not good. It was really
Was the experience at least good?
Offensively bad.
Really?
Oh my God.
I never heard of it.
Thank God. That's the one good thing about the movie, is that not a lot of people saw it. And if anyone's watching, and everyone is, don't go see that film.
Does the director get mad when you say that?
Well, he was a good guy, and he did a lot of good movies, but that was not one of them. I think he knows it too. I think we all know it. It's impossible not to.
Did you have to promote it when it came out?
Oh yeah. Oh, we went all over the world. We went to Japan, and they were very quiet. You know, there's like 5,000 people watching the movie, and there was like very polite applause. And I was like, well, they weren't very excited about us. Because I was still in denial. Maybe this is a good film. You know how
in the beginning you're like, oh wait, maybe I'm just too close to it.
Exactly.
And then you realize quickly, what's that feeling like when there's 5,000 people in an audience and they're not responding the way you were hoping? What does it do to you?
Well, the first thing that I thought is, well, how rude. Well, they're not.
Japanese people are supposed to be so polite.
I thought so.
What are they doing?
Or, you go like, maybe it's cultural. Maybe silence is good in Japan. But it wasn't silence. It wasn't like respectful silence. It was more like, oh, well, now we get to leave. And it was like this slow dawning, sinking feeling that it was just really horrible.
Evolution's script has an infamous history, though. The earliest known script was actually written in 2004 by an unknown author, after the live-action rights to Dragon Ball were acquired in 2002. Eventually, after it floated around for a few years, Ben Ramsey was hired to rewrite the draft due to his work on The Big Hit, 1998. He went through about 10 or so drafts until he submitted it to the studio. One of his middle ones has leaked online and is easily available if you search for it. A decade or so ago, it was pretty common to lay blame on Ramsey for Dragon Ball Evolution, but that is mostly wrong. He still deserves some gruff, but Ramsey's leaked draft is, well, it's not good, but conceptually it tries to actually draw on Dragon Ball. Ramsey, though, is pretty honest and admits he wrote the thing for $500,000 paycheck, then had no involvement after submitting it to the studio. Mercenary intentions? Yes. But I can understand the man just wanted a $500,000 paycheck. The studio and director James Wong heavily revised/rewrote the script prior to and during filming, such as removing characters and heavily editing exposition. The writer's strike may have also affected the script, but that's unconfirmed. This is why the movie feels so schizophrenic, basically. After watching it for the first time, I thought it was actually two scripts smashed together. That's because it is. Technically, it's way more than two scripts, but foundationally, the movie is two clashing sections, the first half and the second half. The first half is, as it was usually described, a teeny bopper riff on The Matrix mixed with High School Musical. Also includes the only scene people care about from this movie.
Nice swing, good form. Doing good. Hey, Fuller!
Funny that most people do not even know the scene is from Evolution. Apparently Harry Partridge made this edit, fun fact. Then the second half of the movie feels like a lower-budget live-action speedrunner directed by Michael Bay. It does attempt to have a look, but it is still a lot of tepid nonsense full of poor decisions. Also, the color balance in this movie is really weird. Maybe because I used the copy on archive.org, but who even cares about this movie anymore to contrast the color balance with the actual released copy? Really, Evolution has a lot of obvious writing issues that have been relitigated into the ground since it was released.
I heard some rumors on the internet that Piccolo wasn't green enough in the beginning.
Yeah.
What?
There was a bit of a fight. There was a bit of a thing about that. I wanted the character to be green, old, and ugly, and I was willing to have a little tiny revolution out in the desert of Mexico about that. And I got my way because I thought that I would be crucified if I was not green and old and ugly as that character. So yeah, if I had my wish, I probably would have been greener from the beginning. But frankly, the fact that I'm green all the way through the film, I take as a little bit of a...
But the confounding thing is that talks for a sequel were ever entertained for even a second. By what can be gathered from Ramsey's leaked script and statements, the studio and director's rewrites heavily limited the scope of the movie. Ramsey, in his original drafts, for example, at least attempted to include Krillin in the movie and set up some sequel hooks. Dragon Ball fans will of course realize Krillin is a pretty important character for 75% of the series. He would have been written into the sequel then, probably. There's plenty of other storytelling issues that kneecap Evolution from anything resembling an honest live-action adaptation of Dragon Ball, and limited its sequel potential. Goku's backstory mainly. Goku's real master? No, not Master Roshi. This guy. His high school teacher. Of course. It is a bad abridgment of Dragon Ball that removes, basically everything important and good about Dragon Ball, except the Dragon Balls, I guess. The lack of Red Ribbon Army, for example, makes developing later story hooks like the androids and Cell pretty difficult. Capsule Corp, though, is sort of implied to exist, though not a name, such as with Bulma's technology, so there was a modicum of forward thinking in Evolution, intentional or not. I honestly doubt it was intentional. So, a sequel to Evolution, that was actually tentatively titled Dragon Ball Reborn, would have had to contend with these main issues. Lack of Krillin as a character, absence of the Red Ribbon Army from the story, and shoring up Goku and Piccolo's origins, which were only touched upon at the end of Evolution. Oh yeah, at the end of Evolution, Goku was revealed as a Saiyan, though not in name. I mean, I don't think really anyone who criticizes this movie has ever honestly watched it, besides the people who wrote reviews for it to post on blogs and YouTube. The bad writing, though, was inherent in the concept, so that could not be fixed, and I don't blame people for not watching it, because it took me, 16 years to watch it. Reminder, Marsters suggested studio executives had a preliminary plan for 7 movies. It is highly likely an actual Hollywood-realized sequel for Evolution would have diverged even further from the actual Dragon Ball storyline, but for this counterfactual, or thought experiment here, it's a YouTube video, let's pretend the story would not diverge that much, at least so we have a skeleton to base it off. How would the story progress for Evolution? There are 3 rules I think that have to be adhered to when writing what Dragon Ball Reborn could have been. The intention isn't to write a good movie, it's simply to write a sequel with these rules. 1. There must be enough material for the 2 contractually obligated sequels that we know could have existed. The second movie to be titled Reborn, and for the name of the third movie, let's just use Alienation, OC name Do Not Steal. All main actors must return then, so we're stuck with Justin Chatwin as Goku, James Marsters as Piccolo, etc., etc. Maybe they could have pulled it out. In honest opinion, I think Chatwin, given another movie, could have actually done something with the role. Marsters did sort of as another green guy too. New characters will be fantasy or nightmare casted as they arrive, but established characters cannot be recasted. 2. This theoretical sequel must adhere to the limited canon of Evolution. No direct edits can be done to Evolution's story. It is done and dusted, the movie's out there. Recontextualizations and expansions are fine, which will be seen later on in this video, but for example, Krillin cannot be retroactively inserted into Evolution. The plot must also attempt to build upon the few tidbits of information known about Reborn's actual plot. Basically all that information comes from Chatwin and Marsters' interviews and retrospectives on Evolution after the movie was released. Most from 2009-2010, but sometimes even up to a decade afterwards. Those intergalactic elements Chatwin referred to after Evolution was released are the big thing we're going to be working with here. So, Saiyans and Frieza. Reborn then would have taken elements from the later part of Dragon Ball and Saiyan Saga, and the third movie, Alienation, likely would have derived from Namek and Frieza. 3. Reborn and Alienation, like Evolution, have to appeal to the Hollywood sensibilities of the 2010s. We have to think like a Hollywood producer. Bayformers and the Expendables franchise here. These sequels would also, obviously, be limited to a time frame prior to 2012-2013, at least for the first 2 sequels, which we're going to cover here. So, any extraneous Dragon Ball lore details used would have to be pre-Battle of the Gods and Super. The sequel, Reborn, is not intended to be good, better, or even more honest than Evolution. Maybe it would have been marginally by accident, because they would have had more leeway with what they could have done, but honestly, it would have depended on the writer and director. It is merely a conceptual outline of what was avoided, or what could have been. For example, maybe they would have gotten Skrillex to do a cover of the Bruce Faulkner dub soundtrack or something like that. Rewrites and recontextualizations, as mentioned, are then going to be necessary for a sequel. Let's start here and take a look at the basic plot. Opening. Dream sequence, I'm thinking. Movie starts with Kid Vegeta, who can be played by a superfluous child actor, cowering below a table. The set for Planet Vegeta looks like a leftover from Flash Gordon. King Vegeta, Costas Mandalore, Shin from the live-action Fist of the North Star movie if you're not familiar, appears, but is then mercilessly shot down by a purple beam of an unrevealed interloper. The only indication of the killer is a 3-pronged white foot that plants itself on the head of the dead King Vegeta. The audience only sees this from the perspective of the hiding Kid Vegeta. Hard cut. Ernie Hudson opening his eyes from a dream. Yes, Ernie Hudson was in Dragon Ball Evolution if you didn't remember. Yes, we're bringing him back for the sequel. He runs to open a heavy door at the end of a hall, an alien chamber. Audience sees a figure ensconced on an alien throne. Glimpse of a withered green-gray limb. Ernie Hudson. Lord Kami, they have arrived. Smash cut to title card. Dragon Ball Reborn. Act 1. World Martial Arts Tournament. Act 1 of Reborn, mishmash of story elements from Dragon Ball and Z, World Martial Arts Tournament, Crane School, and Raditz/Saiyans. The main characters, Goku, Justin Chatwin, Master Roshi, Xiao Yun-Fat, Bulma, Emmy Rossum, Yamcha, June Park, and Chi-Chi, Jamie Chung, reunite at the tournament, similar to the last section of Dragon Ball where they confront Piccolo. This will be more of a direct sequel rather than a time gap. We're not going to introduce Gohan yet in this movie or the next movie. Maybe get Xiao Yun-Fat to wear sunglasses and a Hawaiian shirt, enter under the name Jackie Chun next to a certain Ma Jr., throw a bone to the fans. Goku in Reborn, though, is much cockier than Evolution. He's now much more like a Disney jock than his very bland character in the first movie. At least, gotta give him something. After his victory against Piccolo, Goku is now being studied by the Capsule Corporation's Artificial Warrior program, which is taking footage of the tournament. Gonna directly introduce Capsule Corp here. It is directed by Dr. Nemo Giraud, sequel hook, and they're gonna give him a stupid first name because Hollywood, and also Bulma's there helping with the project. Bulma is established as a good engineer, so she can later reverse engineer the scouters in this movie. The ranks of the World Tournament can be filled in by a bunch of B-movie and Hong Kong actors. Example, Reb Brown in a minor role credited as Major Metallitron, unrelated to the Red Ribbon Army here, which basically isn't going to exist in the live-action franchise. All the young Z fighters will be matched against much larger and tougher-looking opponents. The Artificial Warriors program is collecting data at ringside of all the fighters. They take notice when 3 mysterious fighters enter, their leader wearing strange headgear. They identify themselves as Krillin, Tien, and Tao, the Crane School. They're strange from the get-go. First off, Krillin, Tien, and Tao are just going to be aliens to explain their weird features. Krillin, let's get Vern Troyer. Okay, so I know you probably can't take Vern Troyer seriously as Krillin, and there would probably be a lot of expensive CGI involved for his fight scenes, so I talked to AI, and it suggested to get the kid from the original Percy Jackson movie. I don't know if that would have worked, so honestly, suggest whoever you think Hollywood would have gotten to get to play Krillin, because I have no idea on this one. It just won't have a nose, so we can CGI or use normal makeup to, get that out of there. His character is also just going to be a combination of Krillin and Chaozu, but it's more or less just going to be Krillin. Hollywood would probably think Chaozu is a superfluous character, so sorry Chaozu heads, he's getting written out of the plot here. Tien, Jason Statham, fresh off Crank High Voltage, will also reveal his third eye when he faces off against Yamcha in the ring. I think Jason Statham, bald martial arts guy, pretty good guy to get Tien. He'd also be an alien, so this will be the first real twist of the movie when Tien fires off a Dodon Ray. It'd be about 15-20 minutes into the film. Tao, let's say he's played by Jet Li, it'll make more sense later, will have long hair and, oddly enough, a monkey tail. He has his eyes on Goku. Fans of Dragon Ball can probably see where this is going. Energy attacks are also going to be a lot more common from the get-go in Reborn. Bigger budget. Let's say instead of 30 million, Reborn got its budget pushed back up to 100 million. The first major qualifying fight in the tournament, as said, will be Yamcha, June Park, vs Tien, Jason Statham. It will set the stakes and a visual spectacle rather quick. Their fight will take a few visual cues from their fight in Dragon Ball, with Yamcha trying to pull off a Wolf-Fang fist on Tien. Tien, though, counters by flying, much to the disbelief of the audience and main characters, who still can't fly because that wasn't established in Evolution. Yamcha then is thrown out and defeated by Tien, who declares he is looking forward to testing Goku. At the end of the fight, Master Roshi will explain the Crane School, and Bulma will say that Tao looks oddly familiar as she looks at Goku. I know this doesn't make sense because Justin Chatwin is white and Jet Li is pretty obviously Asian, but I think it'd be pretty funny. This is then followed by a montage of Goku, Master Roshi, Chi-Chi, and Krillin, yet to pull out any energy attacks, crushing jobbers to advance in the tournament ranks. Soundtrack? Yeah, I'm thinking Dragon Force. Quick scene of Goku facing off against Major Metallitron, Reb Brown and Sunglasses, who will be contestant number 8 as a sort of wink at Andrew 8 for the audience. Goku eliminates him pretty easily, with a smile, much to the disdain of the watching Tao and Hidden Ma Jr. Krillin, though, was able to knock Chi-Chi out, but next round, Goku was able to eliminate Krillin with a quick compliment. Nice moves for a little guy. The sequence closes as Ma Jr., dressed in a white robe, steps into the ring to face off against Jackie Chun, in front of the cheering crowd. Michael Buffer is the World Tournament announcer. Let's get ready to rumble. The major reveal. Ma Jr. tears off his white robes to reveal it is in fact King Piccolo, James Marsters, still alive and kicking. Need to do something about that outfit though, and he's probably just called Piccolo by this point. Upon seeing Piccolo is not actually dead, Jackie Chun / Master Roshi is overcome with fear because he got killed by him in the last movie. He immediately concedes the match, much to the disappointment and outrage of Goku, Yamcha, Chi-Chi, and Bulma. The Crane School looks on in bemusement as Tao taps his headgear, which responds with a beep. Roshi returns backstage to an angrily disappointed Goku, who chews him out. They have a back and forth. Roshi ignores Goku's rage and points out his student's ignorance. He says he senses that Piccolo's heart, while still twisted, is not as evil as it once was. Roshi confesses there is one here with a much darker heart than Piccolo's, Tao. in a very Disney, I hate you dad moment, even though it's obvious you're probably gonna die later on in the movie. Goku refuses and turns away from Roshi. He walks away saying that there is nobody with a darker heart than Piccolo. Piccolo is pure evil. His big head will not accept the advice or warning from Roshi. As Goku walks away in a huff, he passes Michael Buffer, who, remember, is the tournament announcer here, who is snooping around backstage. He eavesdrops on Tao, Tao's face starkly lit by torches, who is communicating with someone named Vegeta via his headgear. By now, Tao's headgear is obviously a scouter, so I'm just gonna call it a scouter from here on out. Tao, though, removes the scouter in a huff. He nearly detects his observer at the door, but the camera pans up to show Buffer hiding in the rafters with impossible athleticism and contortion. As Tao leaves at the announcement for the next match, strangely enough it's Buffer's voice doing the announcing, fake Buffer's face fades away to reveal my Eriko Tamura from Evolution, still alive and serving Piccolo. Yep, we're bringing back Mai, and we'll integrate some character beats from Launch or Lunch with her. Shotgun weapons. Maybe she has a dog named Shu now? I don't know. A close-up on Mai's face then fades to a close-up on Piccolo's face in the ring. Piccolo's face also probably looks more like Piccolo by now. I mean, James Marsters had to sit for like 4 hours for each makeup session, so we can probably do something better for Reborn. He looks more like a good guy here, kind of. Piccolo now faces off against Tien. The match starts with some exposition from Tien. He tells Piccolo both of them are not from this earth, and name drops the term Namek. Note here, we're gonna partially use the older Ocean/Funimation translations and terminology, including errors and misunderstanding, because this would have come out in like 2011 or 12 or so. So Piccolo is a Namek, not a Namekian here. Hollywood is going to insistently use that throughout this movie and probably the rest of the franchise. The name drop piques Piccolo's curiosity. Tien tries to use this to get an advantage on Piccolo, but as it turns out, because Piccolo still has partial amnesia from the first movie and even before, he doesn't really give a damn. Piccolo easily disables Tien in the air. His fingers spark as he teases a new gift for Goku to compete with his Kamehameha, but Piccolo allows Tien to tumble out of bounds instead of firing off his special, as he calls it. Goku now has to defeat the mysterious Tao to face off against Piccolo in the finals. Goku vs. Tao, semifinals. The end of Act 1 gets intense here. Goku, distracted by Piccolo, thinks his fight with Tao will be a cakewalk. It is not. Tao immediately turns the fight into a one-sided struggle, wiping the floor with Goku, who becomes angrier and angrier throughout the match. Tao continues to stoke Goku's anger and goads him to join the Crane School. Tao says he can make him strong enough to destroy Piccolo, which he has clearly failed to do. Goku starts to lapse, but thanks to the encouragement of his friends and allies, he rallies. Tao is forced to show his true skills to match Goku. At the climax, Tao, leaping into the air, reveals the truth as he pushes Goku to the edge. Tao slaughtered the original Crane School. He stole the name Tao from the former master. Like Tien and Krillin, Tao reveals, flying in the air, he is an alien. He too knows Goku's secret. Goku is a Saiyan. Tao is, of course, if you haven't put it together by now, Goku's brother. His true name is Raditz, a Saiyan come to acquire the Dragon Balls. Unheeding the demands of the announcer and referee, Tao/Raditz, who is still Jet Li, pulls out the Scouter. The design of the Scouter is probably famous enough to keep as it is, honestly. This movie would obviously try to capitalize off popular culture, and of course, the meme. Anyways, Raditz hits Goku with some exposition as he pulls out some seeds from his pocket. He reveals they were both sent to Earth to acquire the Dragon Balls to save their race. Raditz tells Goku their father was actually a brilliant scientist who created the technology of the Saiyans, Scouters, Saiyan Pods, and Cybermen. That plot point's going to stem from a mistranslation that I think Ocean or Funimation used at one point, but I'm not going to check right now. At those words, Raditz sends out the CGI Cybermen. They look like Andy Serkis critters, probably like lower budget golems, yeah. With no Gohan to kidnap, Raditz instead sicks the Cybermen on the other fighters and crowd. He targets Goku's friends, which enrages Goku. Despite Master Roshi's pleas to stop, Goku continues to play into Raditz's ploys as the tournament collapses into chaos. Afraid he is too weak to defeat his long-lost brother, Goku bets it all on one Kamehameha to cripple Raditz. Goku draws on the power of the Oozaru. aka Great Ape. They call the Great Ape Oozaru in Evolution because I guess they thought Americans were too stupid to look up the fact that Oozaru just means big monkey in Japanese. Yet, Raditz easily rebuffs the blast and sends it flying into the audience, where it explodes in the Capsule Corp delegation, injuring dozens, horrifying Goku. The explosion puts the guilt into Goku's heart that he won't be able to overcome until he regains his confidence at the end of the movie. That's mainly going to be his character arc through the entire thing. Also, Dr. Gero plot hook. Back to the action though. Goku falls to his knees and Raditz begins to charge up his own blast. But, as it seems the end for Goku, the camera swivels to reveal Piccolo charging up his own attack to kill both Goku and Raditz in one foul swoop. Unlike the iconic moment though, Piccolo's special beam cannon in Reborn will only take out Raditz. Krillin will jump into the scuffle to save Goku. Krillin reveals he saved Goku because he complimented him or something, so they're friends now. Raditz, though, is cut through. Raditz, hole-punched, collapses in the ruined ring where he reveals to the main characters the coming threat. 2 more Saiyans like me are coming, yada, 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 yeah, you know the whole spiel by now. Bulma, though, out of curiosity, picks up Raditz Scouter, which accidentally opens a voice channel to Vegeta and Nappa, so those two get a early voice cameo, before they cut the channel laughing. Raditz and the Cybermen have planted the seeds of doubt in the hearts of the main characters. Can they overcome it? As the mood gets gloomy, Yamcha tries to lighten up. He gets Tien and Krillin to join the fight against the Saiyans by calling Tien Mondo Strong. There'll be a subplot throughout the movie about Yamcha teaching Tien and Krillin Earthslang. This will culminate in a romance subplot with Tien and Mai, who's also just going to be Lunch, to address the necessary Hollywood romance subplot to sell tickets. Back to the main plot though, the injured Goku attempts to confront Piccolo, but the fight is interrupted when a mysterious cloud descends. Also, it's pretty obvious Goku would have lost if he tried to jump Piccolo at this point, but from the cloud, it is Ernie Hudson. He will halt the fight between Goku and Piccolo, which the exhausted Goku, as said, would have clearly lost. Goku, and real Evolution heads, will remember Ernie Hudson as Sifu Norris from Evolution. This guy. Master Roshi will reveal his true name though, Master Korin. He is actually Master Roshi's old master. He serves the protector of the world. Earth? Dragon World? Not sure what terminology they would have used here. Anyways, his master, Kami. Yeah, we're turning Ernie Hudson's one-bit appearance in Evolution into a truncation of Korin and Mr. Popo's characters. What? No, I have no idea what you're talking about. Ernie Hudson has come to collect the best fighters to train them up to confront the coming Saiyans. He has seen their coming in his dreams. And the destruction they will bring to Earth. Or Dragon World. This planet? Krillin asks him, "You want us? A bunch of Z-Rate fighters to stop the Saiyans?" Ernie Hudson responds, "Yes, Z-Fighters will do." Due to Master Roshi's boosting, the newly christened Z-Fighters agree to join Ernie Hudson. The camera pulls upward to reveal 2 dots shining in the sky. The Saiyans are on their way, and in the distance is a tower. Act 2, Korin's Tower. Act 2 of Reborn, all about training. Kami's Lookout, or maybe Watchtower, or maybe the Hollywood version would even go for calling it the Temple, but I'm not sure. In the distance, Ernie Hudson convinces Piccolo that, if he comes in peace, Kami can explain Piccolo's amnesia, his extraterrestrial origins, and what a Namek, or where a Namek, exactly is. Begrudgingly intrigued, Piccolo agrees to come along just to see. Yamcha, or Goku here, hit Piccolo with a Klaatu Barada Nikto, bro. Foreshadowing. Here, the main cast splits as they head out. Bulma, Chi-Chi, Master Roshi, and secretly, followed by Mai, embark on a B-plot about collecting the Dragon Balls because, well, the Dragon Balls have to be in the movie somehow. I'm not gonna flush that out, so use your imagination. It will involve Capsule Corp. I don't know, make up some story details. They'll link back up in Act 3. The Z-Fighters then will be guided by Ernie Hudson to the lookout. Also, I'm just gonna call him Ernie Hudson if it isn't clear. When asked where they are headed, Ernie Hudson says, "The lookout, if you can make it." It will look more like a tower in the live-action version though. Goku has a quip like, "You own this whole place?" Much more swanky than Master Roshi's shack. The Z-Fighters will arrive in the sacred land of Korin for their first test, though it's a secret test. Basically when Goku helped Appa and Bora in the manga/anime, but live-action-ier. Taking a note from Ben Ramsey's script, the Z-Fighters will have to defeat a mysterious Oolong, a soul-sucking ghost that is harassing the villagers living beneath Korin's tower. One of the villagers will be credited as Yajirobe, but it will be a bit role, not the actual Yajirobe. He'll just be some guy. The group faces a moral quandary here. Head up the tower, start climbing, or waste valuable time by saving the villagers from the Oolong. Piccolo, of course, just cheats by flying up to confront Kami about their mysterious relationship. Goku and Yamcha, of course, side on helping the villagers. Tien and Krillin are split, though. Tien starts upwards, but Krillin follows after Goku and Yamcha. As the three head out to help the villagers, Yamcha looks back disappointed as he sees Tien rise up the tower. The trio confront the ghastly Oolong in a nearby cave. The ghast beguiles them by fooling them with the greatest desire. Yamcha gets a bunch of beautiful babes, not Bulma. Krillin sees a home, or a family, or something. Not sure what his character arc's gonna be exactly. And Goku sees a happy life with Raditz and Bardock, even though Goku shouldn't know what Bardock looks like, but the audience isn't gonna question that for now. Gary Daniels gets a cameo as Bardock to play on how Costas Mandalore was King Vegeta, because they played opposite each other in the Fist of the North Star live-action movie. The Oolong begins to consume their souls, though. Goku is able to snap out of it, but the fake Raditz and fake Bardock transform into Phantom Oozaru, who overwhelm him. It once again looks dire, but Krillin breaks out of the illusion too. He jumps in to help Goku once again, but Goku's inner demons are just too strong. Yamcha is useless as well. In fact, he prefers the illusion. Without warning though, a solar flare vanquishes the Oolong and illusions. Tien returns to save his friends, not abandoning them. Saved, much to Yamcha's chagrin, who was enjoying his time under the Oolong spell. Proud of their bravery, Ernie Hudson appears to bust that ghost. He reveals it was all a trial of character all along. The Oolong, and all the villagers too, were actually shapeshifters, a la the actual Puar and Oolong from the series. Ernie Hudson congratulates Goku, Yamcha, Tien, and Krillin on their selflessness and self-sacrifice. Piccolo, though, is already at the top of the tower. Tien and Krillin offer to show Goku and Yamcha how to fly at this point, but Goku and Yamcha decide to climb the tower on foot, or by hand. Tien and Krillin then are convinced as well, land on the ground, and follow them up for a little exercise. As a reward, at the top of the tower and the completion of their climb, Ernie Hudson introduces the exhausted Z-Fighters to Senzu Beans. It instantly restores their strength and confidence. The Z-Fighters, though, notice Piccolo is strangely absent at the top of the tower. Ernie Hudson leads them through the hall, seen at the start of the movie, to introduce the Guardian of the Earth, Kami. Who else could be live-action Kami but Christopher Walken?
That lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody. Runs like the wind.
That's right. I'm not the only one who sees it right. Put a bald cap on him, green makeup, some body paint. Come on, would work perfectly. The next segment is just exposition time. Kami has grown too weak to fight off the Saiyans, and Ernie Hudson cannot do it alone. Not even Piccolo would be able to. Kami thus entrusts the fate of the world into the hands of the Z-Fighters. They must, though, become stronger to confront the Saiyans. Tien opines that they must be unbelievably strong. Ernie Hudson confirms it. Yamcha has a quick throwaway line like, "Why didn't you call the world champion, bro? I heard he's hella strong." Ernie Hudson replies, "The world champion doesn't just pick up his phone for unsolicited calls." Mr. Satan is indirectly invoked. Maybe his face appears on a portrait earlier on in the movie, like a poster? Not sure. Also, there's a required line explaining why the Dragon Balls can't be used to simply wish the Saiyans away. It only works on willing, or dead things. Kami explains, vaguely, his exact relationship to the Dragon Balls as well, and his power over them. Suspicious though, Goku asks after Piccolo. The second trial then commences, fetching the sacred water. Kami informs their next task is fetching the sacred water from the hyperbolic time chamber. As a stone door opens, the Z-Fighters see Piccolo collapsed in a strange, infinite room. Quick scene here, Nappa and Vegeta, faceless, talking about the Dragon Balls and Namek in the Saiyan pods as they travel towards Earth. They've been sent by Lord Frieza to conquer Earth, find the Dragon Balls, and acquire the Namek Piccolo. This keeps the audience aware of the threat and the ticking time clock throughout the movie. Maybe there's a few more scenes where it cuts back to Nappa and Vegeta's conversation, but this is really the only one I have written out in my head. Insert as needed. Cut back to the time chamber. The Z-Fighters each struggle to move the water due to the enhanced gravity of the time chamber, each collapsing under their own stone vase. The Z-Fighters, after struggling one by one, decide to use teamwork to chain carry, or daisy chain, the stone vases of water to the doorway. Piccolo, still on the ground, looks on bemused as they hand the stone vase from hand to hand. On the outside, Ernie Hudson looks impressed, and Kamiwaken cracks a smile. Against his better instincts, though, Goku decides to retrieve Piccolo rather than leave him to die in the time chamber. The other Z-Fighters are worried, but Goku delivers a speech about how he thinks Piccolo can be redeemed against his worst natures, etc., etc. He has a bone of good in him. Goku points to Lord Kami, Waken, as an example of a good Namek who has a bone of good in him. Kamiwaken gets a line here like, "Goku, would it shock you if I told you we Nameks do not even possess bones?" The Z-Fighters, now joined or rejoined by Piccolo, have completed the second trial, but they're alerted that time actually moves faster in the time chamber. Bulma and the others have already collected about half the Dragon Balls, and the Saiyans are fast approaching Earth. Ernie Hudson reveals their third trial: defeat Korin. Korin is Ernie Hudson. Obviously, Goku will be the one to defeat Korin. I mean Ernie Hudson. The final test turns into a montage of the Z-Fighters running at Ernie Hudson and getting knocked back again and again. For the final time, Goku comes at Ernie Hudson, but defeats him with a feint. Goku jumps off the tower, only to strike back up on Flying Nimbus. This proves to Korin and Kamiwaken that Goku is in fact pure of heart despite his alien origins. Master Roshi arrives in time to see Goku win to the cheers of everyone, except Piccolo. Goku has grown, schmaltzy sentimentalism, etc., etc. The Saiyans are set to arrive within hours. Ernie Hudson proposes to Kamiwaken that Goku should drink the sacred water to acquire a boost of true power. Kami, though, says only 3 have ever survived drinking the water in over a millennia. It is that dangerous. Ernie Hudson says, though, Goku is pure of heart enough to ride the Flying Nimbus, so, since he can ride the Nimbus Cloud, he should be able to survive the trial of drinking the sacred water. Goku agrees, but Master Roshi informs him all who fail to overcome the water are turned to stone. Senzu beans cannot heal it. Tien encourages Goku by joking to him he wants to get a few hits in on the Saiyans before Goku hogs all the glory, so he has time to ingest and survive the sacred water. Goku then will face his doubts while the other Z-Fighters, minus Piccolo at first, fly off to confront the Saiyans. Goku will consume the sacred water and enter a dream sequence where he has to confront the Oozaru inside himself and trust his own instincts again. Goku has to struggle to overcome his interior shadows, Raditz and a shadow version of Piccolo. Goku's final struggle in his stupor will be a fight against Piccolo from Evolution, still played by Marsters, but he looks more like the gross Piccolo from Evolution. Goku will be about to kill the dream illusion, but as he is about to, a piece of Piccolo's face, actually a mask, breaks off to reveal an exact copy of Goku's face, Justin Chatwin's face. Symbolism. This segment will replace and truncate the Otherworld, Snake Way, and King Kai story beats of Goku training and improving. You really think Hollywood would sign off on King Kai and Bubbles? But frankly, I can see, Kevin James and, well, Bubbles for, Bubbles. Anyways, the Saiyans arrive while Goku is still unconscious. Act 2 closes with the reveal of Nappa and Vegeta, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Keanu Reeves. Act 3 is largely going to be a modified version of how the battle with Nappa and Vegeta goes in the manga and anime, so there's not going to be too many detours. Ernie Hudson, though, will be replacing Gohan, for example, and Piccolo won't be present right away. He'll show up later. Goku has to awaken before Nappa slaughters all his friends. Few notes on Nappa and Vegeta, though. Yeah, we're gonna use The Rock as Nappa purely because of this old edit. He will just be The Rock, so he's just gonna act like The Rock from WWE. Vegeta I was less sure on, but I eventually settled on Keanu Reeves. Names from Jet Li to Zac Efron were tossed around for Vegeta back in the day. This is Keanu Reeves a few years prior to John Wick in 2014, and a couple years after A Scanner Darkly in 2006, so I think he will probably be relatively cheap to hire during this era. I mean, it was sort of the doldrums of his career after the remake of The Day the Earth Stood Still in 2008. Yeah, Yamcha mockingly greets Vegeta with another Klaatu Barada Nikto, bro. Then Vegeta just roundhouse kicks him away. That'd be a good trailer moment that basically spoils the entire movie. Dragon Ball Reborn will exist in the world where 47 Ronin, 2013, was never produced. Act 3, The Saiyans. Act 3 of Reborn is all about epic action scenes. Unclear how much time is exactly left on the clock for character building with Nappa and Vegeta on Earth, but the scenes with Nappa destroying things can be adapted if necessary to fill time. Vegeta goes to collect the Dragon Balls to store in his Saiyan pod. He briefly encounters Bulma, is impressed by her reverse engineering of the Scouter, but just ends up stealing all her collected Dragon Balls anyway. Their Saiyan armor, though, is also going to need a Hollywood redesign. Less armor and more combat gear. Doom 2005. Tactical vests, straps, boots, fatigues. Yeah, that works. And it works, because you know it's exactly what they would do. Eventually, Nappa, as is usual, is confronted by the Z-Fighters, minus Goku and Piccolo and +1 Ernie Hudson and Master Roshi. This sick fight scene starts here in the iconic Gizzard Wasteland, or Vasquez Rocks, or the Sonoran Desert, depending on how much of the budget went towards scenery and location. The two parties will trade some barbs as the press, then Bulma and Chi-Chi, then eventually Mai, arrive to spectate the alien invaders. Unable to convince Nappa to cease his brutality, Ernie Hudson steps in to defend the Earth, only to get crushed by Nappa in a minute or two while Vegeta looks on apathetically, waiting for the fighters who defeated Raditz to show up. The Z-Fighters are stunned as Ernie Hudson is blasted away into the wasteland, unclear if he is alive or dead. Yamcha then jumps in to handle Nappa, who begins to threaten the onlookers. Nappa, though, is clearly holding back as he begins to beat up Yamcha. Once Vegeta tells him to stop playing around, Yamcha is brutalized until Tien steps in. Emotionless and aloof, kinda playing into the cool guy persona here, Vegeta looks on as Nappa disables Tien and crushes Yamcha off screen. Yamcha probably dies here, I think, but he doesn't have to, but he probably dies here. As Krillin is about to step in, Master Roshi stops him. Master Roshi offers Vegeta basically the same deal they do in the manga/anime. Earth's two strongest fighters are still not here, but they are on their way. As long as Nappa and Vegeta don't harm any more people, Master Roshi can hold them off. Intrigued, Vegeta agrees to the deal, but Nappa, ever the wisecracking brute, because this is Dwayne Johnson, goes after Master Roshi. As the battle heightens, Master Roshi reveals he too drank the sacred water. He was one of the three who survived the ordeal. Using his max power, all capital letters, he holds off Nappa until Goku or Piccolo arrive. Looking down from the top of the lookout, Piccolo becomes frustrated seeing how weak the Z-Fighters are in comparison to merely Nappa alone. Kamiwakan then arises from his throne for the first time and asks if he dislikes seeing his friends defeated. Piccolo scoffs him off at first. The two then have an abridged conversation which results in their fusion. Kami elucidates Piccolo on his true origins of Namek, the role of the Guardian of Earth in relationship to the Dragon Balls, and because why not, this is Hollywood, Kami even spills some details on Frieza for Hollywood melodrama. He killed Vegeta's father, King of the Saiyans, etc. How does Kami know this? It doesn't matter. He ends up fusing with Piccolo to become one being. Piccolo then flies off to help the Z-Fighters and unleashes true power. He interrupts Nappa, crushing Master Roshi, who's bloodied and near death. Piccolo, in Reborn, actually beats Nappa down pretty bad and is the one who breaks Nappa's back here. Vegeta is going to be kept more morally ambiguous and cool guy. As Piccolo throws up Nappa to finish him with a special beam cannon, Vegeta begins to stand to confront Piccolo. Then, Goku swoops down on Flying Nimbus to stop Piccolo from executing Nappa. As Goku arrives on the battlefield, he quips at the annoyed Piccolo, "No killing." Goku arrives to hear Master Roshi's dying words, because he died in Evolution. Remember that? Yes, once again just to prove I did in fact waste time watching Evolution. Master Roshi can't be wished back with the Earth Dragon Balls. Outraged, Goku and Piccolo then move to confront Vegeta, who is merely amused. He cares little for the Namek. In a flash, Vegeta easily debilitates, cool guy style, Piccolo because he wants to face Goku alone. He calls Goku a low-class warrior, starts talking like Vegeta, and gives Goku, and the conscious Z-Fighters, a rundown on Saiyan lore. Goku moralizes to Vegeta about Nappa. Vegeta points out, in Reborn at least, he never killed anyone. It was Nappa. Goku and Vegeta then have a tete-a-tete about their shared dead fathers, which Piccolo reveals to anger Vegeta. Goku talks about how all his fathers, biological, adopted, and martial arts masters, are dead, while Vegeta points out he never even got to wish back his own father, who is just dead. The rest of their confrontation basically plays out the same as the manga/anime, but with Justin Chatwin and Keanu Reeves instead. They fight until Goku forces Vegeta to use Saiyan technology, created by Bardock, to turn into an Oozaru/Great Ape. Reminder, this is what the Oozaru looked like in Evolution, so Great Ape Vegeta isn't going to be this massive thing, he's just going to be this bulky CGI creature. Vegeta then mocks Goku for being unwilling to use the inborn power of all Saiyans, because he is a low-class trash after all, but Goku tells Vegeta he has true strength within, not the power of a mere beast. To show his power, in a rage, Oozaru Vegeta kills the crippled Nappa, which shocks everyone assembled. Vegeta shows he will do whatever it takes to acquire true power. Not really sure what he wants in the live-action movies. Maybe immortality, maybe he just wants to kill Frieza. I don't know, the character motivation isn't going to be really revealed until the third movie, so it doesn't matter here. Vegeta, though, crushes Nappa in the same manner as Frieza did King Vegeta, placing his foot upon his head. Maybe Nappa was also going to call for reinforcements from Ginyu when Vegeta freaks out and covers it up. As Vegeta gloats, Krillin cuts off Vegeta's tail with a disc, reverting him to normal. Remember, no Yajirobe, so no tail slashing in this version. Though weakened, Vegeta is still able to match Goku hand-to-hand, blow for blow. Goku has to fully overcome his doubts to win, conquering his own inner darkness, Oozaru and his Saiyan roots. Goku fully tames the power and acquires what is essentially Kaioken, though it's not going to be referred to as that because King Kai isn't in the movie, but Goku's still going to turn red. Goku overwhelms Vegeta in the iconic Kamehameha vs. Gallic Gun struggle. Injured though, Goku has to allow Vegeta to escape, as he cannot bring himself to finish him. As the scene of Goku mourning in his victory fades out to Vegeta escaping, the audience hears Vegeta mumbling to himself about the legend of the Super Saiyan. We're gonna sneakily introduce that at the end here. How could a low-class warrior like Goku acquire so much power in such a short time? Vegeta begins to gloat and ruminate over the fact he was able to get away with the Dragon Balls until, lowering his hand to check for them in the Saiyan pod, it reveals the Dragon Balls are gone. Mai was able to steal them during the battle. As Vegeta's howls echo through space, the movie returns to Earth for the final few scenes. Piccolo has Mai hand over the Dragon Balls to Bulma on the lookout, but Piccolo has changed, deep down. The Z-Fighters then use the Dragon Balls to wish back to life everyone, including Yamcha, who's probably dead by this point, but he gets brought back to life. From Earth, the Saiyans killed, except Master Roshi, who's dead because he was wished back in the first movie. Goku looks crestfallen, but then Piccolo decides on a detonate with Goku. He reveals the truth about Namek, Kami, and the origins of the Dragon Balls to the Z-Fighters. He says Master Roshi can be revived with the Namek Dragon Balls, but it is likely Vegeta is already headed there, and there is someone worse. Goku asks, who? Then Tien responds with one name, Frieza. Reborn ends on a handshake between Goku and Piccolo. Cue Linkin Park's What I've Done. A mid-credit stinger reveal though, Frieza's foot, the same position seen at the start of the movie. The camera pans upwards to reveal, yes, Frieza, but played, or voiced by at least, David Bowie. Need someone who has experience playing sinister, ambiguous alien characters. Bowie had plenty of experience with that, plus the sinister Brit cliche. So, anyway, yeah, that's my idea for Reborn. This should never be made. Oh yeah, ideas for the third movie. Probably just gonna do a lightning round here for, Alienation. Main idea, just keep ripping off Star Wars, yeah. Kami's Lookout is actually a spaceship like the Millennium Falcon. Ernie Hudson, who turns out to actually still be alive, reveals this and Bulma fixes it up. That's how the Z-Fighters get to Namek. The Ginyu Force probably needs to be heavily toned down by Hollywood. I'm not even sure if they would keep Dodoria and Zarbon. Those two might be a little far out there. The Ginyu Force can be a mixture of makeup and CGI abominations. Get Bruce Willis for Captain Ginyu and just have him do a Full Metal Jacket bit? Yeah. Dave Bautista? Sounds good. I don't know about the rest. Let me know in the comments, because I honestly have no idea. I do know the final battle between Goku, Justin Chatwin, and Frieza, David Bowie, though maybe he wouldn't want to do it by this point, would use Dragon Forces through the fire and flames. But I already got the entire future slate of movies planned out here. Reborn, The Saiyans, 2011, Alienation, Frieza, 2013, Cooler in 2015, Androids in 2017, Cell 2-parter, paired with the Android movie in 2019, a Broly movie in 2021, then Boo, which would probably end up being a 2-parter in 2023 and 2025. That would have sort of like a Harry Potter thing going on. Hey, we'd just be finishing up with the live-action Dragon Ball franchise this year then. There may have been issues with the 2-year development cycle or turnover being too rapid to keep up with, but I'm not a producer. I'm just an ideas guy. Reminder, Dragon Ball Evolution is bad. Do not watch it. Subscribe and like my videos instead. Yeah, I'm a regular Eric von Stroheim. Hollywood, I'm open for scripts and concept writing.
Call me. I'd like to make $500,000 making a shitty live-action remake too.
You get the best of both worlds, and I'll take it slow, and you rockin' the show. You get the best of both worlds. Hey everyone, I just wanted to let you know I did update my Patreon, so if you want to support, go check that out. You can get teasers and vote on upcoming videos, so it's pretty cool. I had to readjust the prices because Patreon has to change the formula, so go check that out if you're interested. Yep, just wanted to show that. Okay, hope you enjoyed the video. Bye. Especially foolish thanks to my supporter, Violanon, who allows me to make this Toriyama foolery? Yeah, let's go with that.